Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage and another video on the A112 Abarth. Yesterday I tried to fix that engine sound and I changed the little rubber gasket on the distributor shaft, but it didn't fix anything. At least not the problem that I'm having. Today I'm going to try something else. And that is, as you can see, I've already stripped the engine down a bit, down to the rocker. I'm going to try to fit the other rocker assembly that I have that is also worn slightly, but not as bad as the ones that I have. I have been listening with my very crude listening device over here. Ta-da! This is very clever. I have not really had any luck recording the sound, but this really pinpoints engine sound, so it's a good thing. And it's really difficult to find this sound because this is a pushrod engine, so it is tappety from everywhere. And actually listening to the sound that is the dieseling sound is difficult when you isolate everything else away. But I think I have pinpointed it to this position, or maybe, and more sinister, down there by the oil filter actually. But I think it's up here. It's really difficult to say. My suspicion all the time has been that it's a valve sound, and today I hopefully can test that a bit more out. I am only going to change the rocker assembly, therefore it could still be a problem with the valve itself or the spring or all that, or the push rods. Today I'm only going to know if it has something to do with the rocker assembly. One thing that I could do that I'm actually considering is to wind down the clearance to 0. And by that I mean to remove all clearance on the cold engine on the valves. That way it shouldn't make much sound at all. It is not something that I would advise to do because you can burn your valves very quickly that way, because if you remove the clearance on a cold engine, then as soon as the engine gets hot, the valves will actually never close completely. That will force air out through the valves when they're not supposed to, and the compression of that air will heat the valve up extremely much, and that can actually really quickly lead to a valve burning. But it would be a fun test to do. I would only start the engine up and run it for a very short amount of time, but by removing the clearance I would test the theory that something is not possible to be adjusted very precisely, and therefore making the sound. Anyway, today I think I'm just going to try to change the rocker assembly with the other one I have, and then adjust it all up, and then hopefully that will make a difference. Maybe it will move the sound, maybe it will be the same, maybe it will disappear. One thing that I'm slightly wondering about right now is the engine is slightly hot at the moment. Take a look at this exhaust. There's a lot of clearance. It's actually almost 0.40. That is not supposed to be that way, and I really don't know why, because I set the valves the other day. So that's puzzling me quite a bit. Anyway, we're gonna do that today, and then let's hope it fixes something. Here we have the other rocker assembly. It also has some wear marks like mine, but not at all as bad. So I think this will be better. This is the old rocker assembly. I have decided to try to take this apart to see if I can find something that could indicate a problem, or at least make me believe that I have found the reason. Because if it turns out that it works by changing the rocker assembly, I would be very happy if I at least got myself convinced why that is. So let's try to do that. I believe that the sound comes from this region, on the engine at least. There is some play, side-to-side movement on them. Nothing too bad though. I don't know if that could be causing it. The other part that I have got pretty much the same, maybe a little bit less side-to-side movement. But remember, the spare part that I'm going to fit today is also used and also worn, so it's not the perfect solution. But I don't want to go and buy a new one if it's not a problem really. I'm gonna take this apart and put it out in the order that it comes off. So now we got it apart, except this one that is stuck. Yeah, there are some markings on this one, especially at this side where I think we have the problem. It is slightly worn right there. This engine, I suspect, or I actually know, had some oil pressure problems 5 years ago or something like that. And a operated fuel pump was installed. After that, the oil light was flickering from time to time. This was one of the reasons why I rebuilt the engine. The other one was that it kept on blowing its head gasket. So, this is most likely some of the damage which was caused by low oil pressure. Especially right here, it's been struggling for oil. I'm going to try to measure it with this vernier or caliber, I think it's called. It's supposed to be a precision one. Now I can just about get it through. So if I turn the shaft 90 degrees, I can still get it to fit through, but it's a lot tighter. So it is thinner at this point than it is at this point. That's for sure. It's not a lot, but it is something. Could it be what's causing all the troubles? The new part is right here. But let's try to measure the same position as before, which is right here. As you can see, this is also worn and polished down. Slight marks, pretty much as the other one actually. So now I can get it through, turn it 90 degrees. I can still get it through. It is better, that's for sure. There is still some material missing, but I don't think it will matter much. Either way, what I'm going to do now is to clean the parts up, reassemble it, and put it back on the car. Everything is back together. All the valves are adjusted. I'm not sure. I think it's slightly better, but it is still possible to hear it. I think it could get better when it's warm. I have been doing some fine adjustment to the engine after I have had everything apart. I have checked the timing. I have checked the idle. It is supposed to be 950. It is a bit over that at the moment, but that's all right. The ignition is bang on. I don't know if it picks up down there. It's difficult to film flashing lights, but it seems to be good. But what is surprising me now is, take a listen to the engine. I'm just gonna put the microphone back again to the test position. Take a listen to it now while the engine is hot. I could be making things up because I have been working and listening to this engine for a bit too long, I think. The sound is still there. I think it's a bit more muffled now than it was before, and it seems to go more away when it's warm than before. But listening to a sound for so long and being so focused on that makes it a bit difficult to remember how it was before and how bad of a problem it actually is and all that. One of you mentioned that it could be the air filter, because when I open up the throttle, the butterfly, there's really not a long way from that to the valves. You can actually reach it with your fingers from the carb. You can actually reach one of the valves, and with an open air filter you are pretty much in the combustion chamber almost. So of course the sound is more exaggerated when the air filter is open like that. So actually it could be part of the reason. But I think I have come to the decision now that I'm going to ignore it for now, because it is, when I record this with the microphone in the engine bay, the sound is quite loud. When I drive it, it's not that bad. I think I'm just going to drive this car, and then maybe it gets worse. Maybe it's just going to stay as is. Or yeah, we'll see about that. Either way, if it gets worse, then maybe it will be easier to find. Another thing I'm noticing is that this is a bit lumpy idle car because it's so performance oriented, but it is idling a lot more smooth, I think. So, but I could be making things up. I have been listening to this engine for far too long. Anyway, this will be all for now. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.